Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Golden Gloves Chat Show with me, Damien Durandt. Familiar face, Damien. You're becoming as famous as your late great dad. Maybe you're going to pass him one day even. Everybody always says that when they introduce you, you're the son of the late great Nick. Does it still make you feel special?
Of course, Brian. Firstly, hello to all the viewers and thank you for having me on the show. But definitely, it's always nice to be introduced as my father's son and following in his footsteps. You said maybe I can catch him. I don't know. It's a tough
one.
Yes, it's a tall order.
I don't think anybody can catch him.
Yeah, no, that was a big record. But
tell us his record again quickly, just remind the viewers.
97 South African champions, wow. 38 world champions, and 28 international
Unbelievable,
champions. Yeah, so it's a big record.
So there you are, ladies and gents. That record's going to be hard to chase. But you're doing a great job. You're your own man now. You're not only the late great Nick Durandt's son, you're Damien Durandt, who's a fine manager and trainer on your own. I remember you running around as a little boy around the ringside there, carrying the belts for your dad, all excited. And how long has it been now that you've been in the fight game?
So I think the first time I was attending boxing, I was probably 4 or 5 years old.
Is that
Just walk around being at the boxing. And then I think from about 6, 7, 8 years old, I used to carry boxing belts to the ring. And then the first time I worked in the corner with my dad, I was 14. Yeah. So it's been a while.
I remember back 27 years ago, there was this irritating little 5-year-old running around there. So it's been a long time. You're 32 now, right?
33, yeah.
33.
Yeah.
So what's it, 28 years?
Yeah, 28 years around boxing, yeah.
Jeez, well,
but I mean, my whole life I've just spent in boxing gyms. So yeah. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, even when I was at school and I was 10, 11, I used to play cricket in my dad's boxing gym just because I was always in the boxing gym.
So, cricket in the boxing gym.
Yeah. It was just...
So it's all about boxing.
All boxing, yeah. I remember my dad in the mornings, I'd go with him for road work and then he would drop me off at school. So I'd just always been exposed to that environment. I'd say it was like lessons in the sport of boxing and what's required and the discipline that comes into the game. Like I saw the hours that my dad put in and... I think that's why he was so successful, is he always put in those hours and the sacrifice away from family. Not everyone understands that when you train fighters, you spend a lot of time with the boxers. You're more at the gym than you are at home. And then obviously the traveling, with international fights and stuff, can be long periods away.
Sure. Well, I mean, it goes hand in hand. A good trainer, manager, it's like anything in life. What you put into life, you get out of it.
100%.
And a good fighter needs a good trainer and manager as well. And obviously your dad was that guy. I remember he used to take the guys in the morning and run behind them 5 o'clock, ride behind them in the car while they were running at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's things that people don't realize how much you put in. But like I say, you're doing a fantastic job as a manager, trainer yourself. Well done. You're one of the finest trainers and managers in the country right now. I want to ask you your opinion on the state of boxing generally. I mean, let's not talk BSA. Let's talk about the boxers rather. Your opinion. I mean, you've got a lot of good youngsters coming through the ranks at our gym. Vusi Matola and Manny Fernandez got some good guys coming through, and Golden Gloves is producing good fighters.
Yes, definitely. I think all around South African boxing is on a growing trajectory. Like if we look at the state of boxing in Cape Town, it's slowly getting better and better. There's more shows in Cape Town, which is really good. Natal's also had some good activity. There's 2-3 promoters that are constantly doing things. The Eastern Cape's always been very good with boxing, and obviously Johannesburg, we're busy. So I believe the sport is growing. We've got a couple of world champions. We've got Kafu fighting for a world title in Japan. So the state of boxing is good. I just believe we need more and more tournaments so we can keep growing. I don't think we're at the days of my dad's era where we used to have boxing tournaments like every week. We're not there yet, but I believe the sport's heading in the right direction. We've got a lot of talent in this country. We've never been short of talent in this country, and I just think it's about opportunity, and the more opportunities that are given, the better our sport will be.
A lot of young new promoters I see coming on the scene. Especially in Joburg, well, not just Joburg, I think all around the country, like you just mentioned. It's quite interesting that so many more people are wanting to be boxing promoters.
Yes.
And that's good for the sport.
Well, you look in general, I mean, Matt's starting his promotion. He's having his first show. Boxing 5's busy with all their development shows. Golden Gloves always do their 5-6 shows a year, which is good for boxing. You've got Gaba Promotions, which bring out 3-4 shows a year. So those are promoters that are going, and then we've got development guys who are building, and I think it's good for the sport. Like Bongles just did his own promotion.
Jodie Solomon's daughter.
Jodie Solomon's just did a show. So, well, her daughter did a show, and that's what we need in boxing. We need aspiring promoters, and we need promoters that have been around for a long time. So I think it's important, and this is what's helping the growth of the sport. And I believe there's a space for everyone in the sport, and I believe that the more everyone gets involved and the better our sport is, the more competitive our sport is, and that helps us when we get to the top level.
And the interesting thing, Damien, that I think a lot of the viewers don't know, that you and I obviously know, being in the game, the amateur standard in South Africa is not really good, but a professional standard is pretty good.
Yes.
A lot of guys today just come off the streets and they want to be fighters. They've got very few amateur fights or no amateur fights, and they become really good pros because they're hungry, they're determined, and they've chosen that sport that they want. So professional boxing is definitely not in a low place.
Not at all. I think the problem is, if you go back, I remember the earlier days of my dad's career, he was getting fighters with 200, 300, 400 amateur fights. Yeah. And we just don't see that anymore.
No, not anymore.
I actually spoke to Kafu a couple of weeks back, and he said to me, like Eastern Cape, there's always amateur shows. And that's why I think the guys in the Eastern Cape, they come through with that experience when they turn pro, and they're able to move along a bit faster. What I find is when we take on these guys that don't have much amateur experience or no amateur experience, we've got a longer building phase. And if the amateur scene could improve, I think we wouldn't have to spend more time grooming guys, and we could focus on moving them up faster in the professional ranks. But like I said, we have so much talent.
Yeah.
And that's
what would the reason be, sorry interrupting, that we don't have people going to the Olympics? If we've got so many talented guys, like specifically East London, like you mentioned, is it the admin side of things that we're not getting to the Olympics?
So what I've observed between South Africa and working in the DRC, so the DRC amateur program is very good. The guys are all together, they all train, and the government pushes them to go to amateur tournaments all over the world. Where I feel our guys don't get that opportunity. I feel like there's not that financial support for them to compete all over. With the DRC, what I've seen is that they always make a plan to make sure that the guys can travel.
So we need to get out there more internationally.
Our boys need to, first we need to have more amateur tournaments here so our guys can build up that experience, and then they need that exposure to the international amateur scene and traveling. Like we had that Africa Games in Natal not so long ago. It was about a month and a half ago. We need more of that here.
More of that.
We need to bring all the Africans over to South Africa, let our guys compete with them, and our guys need to travel into Africa and then obviously move on to Europe and US and be exposed to that amateur scene so that the guys are more invested in their career. They build their experience doing all that traveling. You know, I look at a guy like Jackson. Jackson traveled all over. He went to the Beijing Olympics, Commonwealth Games, World Championships. Jackson had over 300 amateur fights, and he is a part of his success today is because of his experience. You know, you can't take away 300 fights, Brian.
But it's not happening today, though. I mean, it's great what you said, and I agree with you. That should be great if we could have all that exposure, guys fighting internationally and having more fights like a Jackson Chucky. But unfortunately, it's just not happening. So I'm hoping that somebody does something about it, and we get it going again. Let's talk, Damien, about your youngsters, your professionals that are coming through. Any good pros coming through the ranks from the Damien Durandt stable?
So I've got my SA champion in Tetelelo Nkosi, who I really believe is a superstar. To be honest, my opinion of him is I think he'll be the greatest fighter to ever come out of Natal.
Natal.
We had Sugar Boy Malinga.
Wow, that's fantastic. A big statement. That's you rate him highly.
I think, you know, they had great accomplishments. You know, Sugar Boy won the WBC on 2 occasions. Maruti
with your dad, right?
Yeah, Maruti was 3-time world champion. IBF won twice and the IBO world title, and he made like 3 defenses of the IBF. Vacated, won the IBO, made a defense of that, then won the IBF again, and I think he made 2 defenses, lost it in his 3rd defense. Like it's a big statement, but the skills, the attributes, and the way this boy fights, I believe he's a complete package.
Really, well, that's a big statement for you to make. So you obviously must be very good. Maruti Ntalani, one of my favorite fighters of all
me
time.
too.
I'd put him in the top 10 of best South African fighters on any ranking list. So well done with that. Will Junior Makabu fight again?
Yes, definitely. You know, we're working on him coming back. Just a bit of a rest. You know, last year was a tough year for us. We lost the world title to Badu Jack. We challenged for the vacant title against Nolgevor, and we lost that. So we're going to have another outing again, see where we are. Sometimes I'd say things that are happening in life can disturb your career. So we need to get our focus on track, and we'll see. We'll see what happens when he has a comeback again. Yeah.
Connie Puzi in the gym?
Yeah, Connie's looking great in the gym. He's been sparring Juan Alberts. And you know, Juan's only having his second fight.
Yes.
He's doing some good things in the gym. Nice to see a bigger heavyweight from our side.
Like 130 kilos.
Yeah, normally we've got these guys are like 98, 100, and we're trying to compete at heavyweight. But he's actually a bigger guy. He's doing some rounds with Akani, and he's looking good. You know, I'm excited for his second fight. It's nice to see Reino in the gym, working with him. It's
and
nice
he's turning out to be a good trainer.
Yeah, he's putting in the efforts.
Yeah.
You can see like Reino still has that craving. He wants to be in the ring, you know. But I'm excited about him. See what he's going to do in his next couple of fights. Obviously, not a lot of amateur experience. You need to build a guy like that. But
he's a work in progress.
There's a work in progress.
But like you say, he's a big man. Looks like he takes a good shot.
Yes.
Reino's a brilliant trainer. So let's hope so. We're always looking for a good heavyweight in this country.
And this is how it starts. Let him have his second fight. Before you know, 10, 11 fights in, and the guy's actually something, and then we've got a heavyweight.
Then we've got a decent heavyweight.
Yeah.
Well, we've had some great heavyweights in our time. Jackson Chaki, you spoke a little bit about him. Any fights lined up? He's a brilliant fighter.
Tough with Jackson at the moment. You know, the flyweight division is a very difficult division at the moment. There's some activity now. You've got Sonny Edwards fighting Galal Yafai for the interim WBC title. The Japanese fighters fighting against Christopher Rosales, which is for the world title. So there's that activity. There's some things happening in the division. I haven't got anything set for Jackson at the moment. I've been working on a few different options. It's tricky when you're world champion. Deals don't just fall into place all that easy. So I'm trying to negotiate the best deal for Jackson. You know, he's at an age in his career where I need to maximize everything for him. And what he's done for the sport, he deserves that. So I'm working hard.
Yeah, really good fighter. So I hope you get that break and something comes about for Jackson Chaki. Talking about Bevan Sabanda, we spoke off air. Bevan 7-0 youngster. He's fighting on Matt Leishing's show as well in Cape Town. He's getting a big fight in December for the WBC silver belt as well against Kusi, the South African champion. So that's a massive fight for Bevan Sabanda. But I just wanted to speak to you about it because also off air we spoke. You were quite impressed with Bevan when Bevan sparred with the brilliant Jackson Chaki?
100%. So Bevan was my main sparring partner when Jackson was preparing for his world title fight in January. And Bevan really, really impressed me, you know, with how few fights he's got. He shows world-class attributes. Like, I honestly believe Bevan can become a world champion. I've seen what he can do in the gym. Jackson loved sparring with him. It was always competitive, and I really believe Bevan's going to be something special for the future. And I think the route he's going with the WBC silver is a great route, and I believe he'll beat Kuse. I believe in Bevan. I think he's a real special talent. And
he's very special, and Vusi believes strongly in him. Vusi was saying to me in the gym that you can put as much money as you want to on that fight. He says, and if Bevan loses, he'll pay you your money back. That's how confident he is in Bevan Sabanda. Yeah, thank you. Bevan is a classy little fighter, so we look forward to him on the big Golden Glove shows going forward. Let's talk the big tournament now coming up, less than 3 weeks. 2 South African title fights, both your guys. Brandon Taser fights Junior Makondo for that vacant South African junior middleweight title. And then Ntatelo Nkosi, your favourite little Natal fighter, fights Sanelli Masimang, and that's he's the junior welterweight champion. How's the preparations gone with you guys?
Very, very good. You know, this is obviously this fight with Brandon and Makondo was supposed to take place in August. Makondo had an injury. About 10 days out from the fight, so we had to reschedule this fight. So hopefully he's all good there and he's ready for the action. But you know, Brandon Taser brings a fight.
He does.
That's one thing. Brandon brings a fight.
We've got a rivalry game. How far did we go back?
Yeah.
Brandon Taser's fought Our guy's 4 times.
Yeah,
already.
4 times. Please don't find me another one.
And we're 2-2. We're 50-50. So he's fought Rourke twice.
Yeah,
He's fought
and
Darren and
yeah.
Shavonte.
Yeah.
So you've fought our stable twice, and we're 2-2. A good rivalry between you and Vusi Matola and Manny Fernandes and the guys. So and it keeps going. So the guys are ready for the 26th of October.
Brandon's very, very ready. He's been looking good. Brandon stayed in the gym consistently throughout this year. He's in phenomenal shape. He's looking great in sparring. Strength looking fantastic. He's got a good strength and conditioning coach in Josh, and we're ready for that. But in Tetelelo, there's action coming, man.
He's the man, eh?
That's the man.
So that's the 26th of October. Abman Kobe, the Conquerors, on the undercard to Shavonte Koopman. He's 14-0. South Africa's best kept secret, it's got to be Shavonte Koopman.
Yeah.
Turned pro at 24 years old, pretty late. He is a late bloomer. He's 30 years old. They only had 14 fights. But he just looks the part, doesn't he, Damien?
Yeah, so like Shavonte and Brandon grew up through the amateurs together. They had a fight in the amateurs. So Shavonte comes with a bit of amateur experience. Same as Brandon, not a lot. You know, they come with like 20, 30 amateur fights. But Shavonte's just done everything right. You've put guys in front of him, he's done the job. He often leaves the ring unscathed.
It's almost like he's never lost a round as a pro.
Yeah, look, he hasn't lost rounds like badly. He's just maybe just a touch here, but it's like he takes a fight and he takes it away comfortably. You never see Shavonte in like deep waters, and it's like he has to dig deep to fight. He just executes everything well, and he's just a very, very good boxer. He sticks to what he knows, sticks to what he does, and it just works so well for him. And I believe that. When there was early in the time, you remember we had the Super Four. You had Brandon Taser, Rourke Knapp, you had Tristan Trutter, you had Boyd Allen, and that was like the Super Four. Yes. If Shavonte was around in that time, he could have been the winner of the
Possibly
Super Four.
Could have won it.
After that, after the experience that those 4 fighters took away, Shavonte came through. He beat Brandon. You know, he's beaten in Ndombasi. He beat the American now, he's got the Canadian. Like, he's just done everything so right. And, you know, he's simple but fantastic.
Can you see him possibly being like a WBA champion? One of the big titles?
I think with the road that he's on at the moment, he's on the right trajectory. He's like a building fighter, and he's done everything right so far. This next fight will be another test. Maybe another 1 or 2 and then have a shot. But that division is a tough division. And I believe
he fights Brandon Cook on the 26th
from Canada
for the WBA Intercontinental.
Brandon Cook's a decent operator, so it's another solid test for Shavonte. I think Shavonte will stick to his guns like he always does, and I think he'll come out victorious. I think he'll beat him on points, and it's interesting to see what he goes on to next. You know, winning world titles is all about the right opportunities, Brian, and who's in front of you at the right time. Philip Ndo could have been a world champion, but he had Floyd Mayweather in front of him. Sure. Do you know what I mean? So it's just about who's in front of him at the time, you know. You've got Israel Madrimov, you've got Crawford in the division. Tough division. That's some tough fights. Some serious fighters, But, you know, if another world champion comes around, that could be your opportunity. But like you say, it's opportunities. 100%. And fighters come and go, and world champions also lose. And you fight those guys. World champions vacate and move up, and 100%. But you fight those kind of fighters. There's some real money fights, you know. And that's at the end of the day, that's where you want to go. And the best must fight the best, doesn't it? 100%. To prove you're the best in the world. Let's just talk quickly. Rourke Knapp will be back in action in December. Just going through all the Golden Gloves fighters, of course. Had those 2 fights with Brandon Taser. The second one was epic. That was mad. Wow, Rourke and Brandon, that was really one of the fights of the century. And I suppose a loss is not the end of the world. It's back to the drawing board for Rourke. He's working a lot on defensive skills. I watched him in the gym the other day, sparring with Shavonte, and he looked pretty decent. Your opinion on Rourke in his comeback in December? Rourke's a very talented fighter. You know, I spoke to him about his fight, and I just said to him, I think he just got a bit too greedy. I think he was levels above his opponent. Too loose, too confident. You could see he had the punch power to disturb the Mexican, and it made him greedy. And that's what happens. You know, in the sport, not many people don't go down to the canvas. It's how you get back up from it. And Rourke's always shown those attributes. He goes down, he gets back up, and he comes to fight. So getting knocked out and getting back up again. And fighting. And winning. all the top fighters in the world touch the canvas and they get up and they fight. So it's part of his lessons, you know. Also someone that doesn't have a lot of amateur experience, learning on the job, got greedy, got put down, and unfortunately couldn't come back. He tried to come back, and that is who Rourke is as a person, and I believe he will bounce back. He just needs to learn on these fights as he builds his experience through these fights, to take opportunities at the right time and not get greedy. And it's just unfortunate what happened, but I believe he'll bounce back. He's working hard in the gym. Brandon and him have the same strength and conditioning coach. Had a good chat with him in the gym, and he's putting in the work. I mean, he started training for December show from like June. So he's been in the gym. He's
putting in the work again.
Putting in the work.
I also believe he'll bounce back. You know,
he will bounce back.
Charismatic, and he knows his way around the ring. That's Rourke Knapp. That'll be for December. Darren Rousseau improving in every fight. He fights on the Matt Leashing show on the 19th of October as well in Cape Town. So we look forward to Darren Rousseau fighting Cristiano Ndombasi.
Yes.
So it's a next level fight for him. And as I said, Sabanda will be on the undercard as well. Let's talk Ricardo Malajika. You know, that's my other baby.
Yeah.
Like you spoke about, your Nkosi. What do you think of Ricardo Malajika? Do you believe he's gone to that level where he can fight the best in the world now?
So he's heading that way. I think a jump now would be a big jump. I think his last two fights has been the right fights for Ricardo, beating Marcel Braithwaite. He was also a very good operator, and he fought really well that night. And I think if Malajika can have another 2, 3, 4 international fights, then he'll be at a stage to mix it up. Also, if you look at Malajika, I don't think Malajika's had a lot of amateur experience.
He had a lot of amateur fights, but he's never really been hurt in the game. That's one thing. So he's a young 26-year-old.
But maybe 80 fights?
I'm not sure how many amateur fights. But
so, and also, did he travel with the amateurs? So the problem is, I feel it's not about how we shouldn't rush our guys to fight at that level, but I think we should groom our guys to fight at that level. And I think right now Ricardo's on a great road. He impressed me against Marcel. He impressed me against Younger, and I feel if he has
Younger had never been stopped in his whole career. He fought Tanaka and he lost on points, so that was a really good victory for young Ricardo Malajika.
And that's what he needs. He needs another 2, 3 internationals, and then you have a shot at a world title. And then you know, like, his grooming's been done right. You know, Ricardo early in his career, he bumped his head. He had his losses. He knows. And right now, I think his confidence is so good. And I think if he has those 2, 3 international fights, you can throw him in the mix with the best there.
Damien, thank you. It's always great chatting to you.
And thank you.
I think we got through a bit there talking about all our Golden Gloves fighters. There's young Charlton Malajika that's also making waves.
Yes.
So you've got the 2 Tacers. I've got the Malajika. We never spoke about Brian Taser. Let's finish with Brian Taser. Also a good prospect.
Yes, definitely. Brian's going to be out in December show. He'll be having his first 6-rounder. So building Brian. Also, the problem is not enough amateur experience. And I feel if we build these guys correctly, we'll get the desired outcomes later on. And I think he's a real talent. He's a proper Taser.
Yeah, they come to war.
You give what you give what you get. You know, you land on him, he lands back.
He lands back, loves it.
It's just the Tasers are just entertaining. And touching on Charlton as well. You know, Charlton, I watched fight at Turventine on Manny Fernandez show, and he impressed me that night.
Thanks. It was a good fight.
He let his hands go. He was looking really good that night. So I think also a little decent prospect.
So that's 2 young prospects to look out for, Charlton Malajika and Brian Taser. Once again, thank you, Damien Durandt. Always lucky chatting to you. We're going to speak many more times, you being 33 and me being 103. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to speak that many more times. But yeah, thank you. Lucky chatting to you.
Brian.
From me, Brian Mitchell, thank you for watching.